Hi, and welcome to a run-through of this really good drums and percussion library by Orchestral Tools. Here I have the sine player, which is the traditional player for Orchestral Tools libraries. And I just want to give you a run-through how the library works and give you an idea of the sonorities and sounds that you can get out of this great library. So, of course, to install it, it's fairly simple. After you bought it, you can just buy it right in the sine player in the store tab where you can see all their products. I think this is a really good way of simplifying the process. Here's your monolith right there. After you buy it, you can go to My Licenses. You're going to find your library right there. And so if I scroll down here, I'm going to see my monolith. And the good thing is that I can just tap on details. And right here, I can decide what to download. This library can be fairly big, even though Sine Player has a really good algorithm to reduce the size of the samples considerably. But here I can just choose to download the basic kit, or for each articulation, I can choose which mic samples I can download. So I can just load the spot or the close, and then later add the other mic positions if I want. I highly recommend eventually download all the mic positions because you're gonna really get a lot out of those. They really allow you to place the percussions and the samples in very different environments that are gonna fit pretty much all sorts of situations you're gonna find yourself writing and producing. So after you download the patches, if you navigate to library, you're going to see your monolith library right here. You tap on browse, and here you're going to see the three main categories of patches: ensembles, single instruments, and processed instruments. These are really useful because, as I said, there are more than 50 patches, and just having them organized this way, it simplifies a lot the process of picking the right sound for your production. So in the ensemble category, there are basically all drums and percussion ensembles that were played together. These patches give you the biggest, kind of like massive sound that we usually associate it with more, filmistic type of situations, even though they can be used in any situations. And as you can see, each patch has different articulations. For example, the Epic ensemble here has up to 9 articulations. These articulations are fairly consistent across patches, which is great. They use the same key switches and pretty much the same description. That makes it really easy to switch between patches while you're maybe browsing, or even after you sequence your parts, you can easily try different sonorities by just replacing the entire patch. Here I loaded on this track the heavy duty high beaters, just to kind of like, give you an idea of how these different articulation work. So in the single hits, I get exactly what you think it is, right? Single hits are just a group of percussion and drums playing together, but with just one hits. In single hits modes, and this is something important to kind of focus on, in single hits mode, the dynamics are spread through the keyboard. So we don't use velocity to actually trigger different samples at different dynamics, but we just use different keys. So here I'm going to have my pianissimo, and all the way here I'm going to have my fortissimo, and anything in between. I find this very useful when you sequence percussion parts or drum parts with the MIDI keyboard. Sometimes it's hard to get the exact velocity that you want, and so this is kind of convenient to just access different velocities, different dynamics straight from your MIDI controller. If you are more into using velocities to control your dynamic sample switching, you should use the alternative mapping. The alternative mapping articulation basically has all the articulations, but now they are spread through the keyboard, and they use velocity to control the dynamic sample switching. So here's my, and again, velocity controls the so different velocities give you different dynamics. This alternative mapping, I find it very useful if you use like a MIDI pad controller or a drum pad controller to sequence your percussive parts. So I highly recommend using alternative mapping if you're used to more traditional MIDI velocity controlling the dynamic sample switching. I have to say that in general I kind of like alternative mapping a little bit better, also because it gives me all the articulations right here from a single patch, right? So I'm gonna here my different upbeats. So I just find it very useful. Just to go through the other patches, we saw the single hits. The flams are pretty self-explanatory. Again, they go in dynamics from pianissimo to fortissimo. In dynamics, I have basically what I call like crescendo and decrescendo. Nice, I have crescendo and decrescendo, and then upbeats gives me kind of like short phrases at different BPM. So these are really, really useful in case you have to create some more realistic type of quick crescendo or quick phrases. All these can be switched through our key switches. Of course, our key switches can be changed if I want by just tapping there. This is the traditional way the sine player works. Now, let's take a look how the other categories work and how they differ from the ensemble category. In the single instrument category, I have just single hits from each individual drums. So for example, let's say that I'm gonna load my Royal Drum hard beater, right? And I'm just gonna remove this. I'm just gonna double click on the patch, and it's gonna be just loaded on a new slot here. These are single hit, and again, I'm starting with the single hit patch, pianissimo to fortissimo, right? Those, again, that's how I control the dynamic. These are the flams. I have my dynamics, and then I have my alternative mapping, which again allows me to use MIDI velocity to control the dynamic sample switching. But as you can hear, these are single hits, right? Let's browse through a couple more. Let's go to the hands drums. Very cool, very soft. I love that we have the option to use different sticks, beaters, and even the hands, just to give a very a very good selection of colors. And the dynamic sample switching is done up to 20 layers of dynamics, so it's fairly realistic, fairly convincing. I really like the single instruments for a more close and a little bit more intimate way of using drums and percussions. And again, in terms of selection of sounds, I mean, we have pretty much things from all over the world. It's really, really a great choice of sounds. Right, so these are like Burundi cylinder drums, very, very effective. So really a good, huge variation and selection of drums. Now, the one that I find actually more interesting are the processed instruments. Here, the producers of the library just left the engineers kind of go wild and apply signal processing to the recordings. Now, as you can see, in this case, I only have the mix. I don't have the individual microphones. But you can get a lot out of this type of sounds. So as you can hear, there's, definitely processing applied. And, you can go, you can really go crazy and really experiment with this sound. Usually you get a more produced effect, slightly maybe less realistic, but definitely more filmistic. So in fact, I highly recommend starting from the processed instruments just to get a sense of the variety of things that you can achieve with this library. I think maybe it's one of the secret, best secret of this library. The processed one are really, really interesting sounds. You're gonna really enjoy going through this processed category. Right. So if I had to start from one patch in this library, it would be the processed instrument menu. This gives you basically everything that is available in the library spread across the entire keyboard. It's like, just sampling everything that the library has to offer. If you just load this patch, most likely you're going to find useful sounds for any type of production. So the other thing I want to mention, though, is that you have access to the different type of microphone position. So let's take a look at that. We can access the different mic positions for a certain patch in the Mixer tab. Now I'm going to navigate to my last channel here, number 12, where I loaded a basso toms with hard beaters. And this is where I see my channel, right? I can see it right here. And I can decide to load different mic positions so that I can really place that specific ensemble in any place in my virtual stage. So I'm going to turn off the tree. I'm going to just use the spot, right? So if I have just the spot, here's the sound that I'm going to get. Now if I add the tree, here's the sound. Definitely deeper, more ambience, right? If I load also, instead of the spot, I'm gonna load the close mic. See, I really changed the color. It almost sounds like a different instrument. Easier to place in an orchestral settings. Again, if I go to the spot, the sound is way closer, right? I'm more intimate with the drums. I also have a vintage close. I'm gonna take the tree off so we can. That varies slightly from the close. To be warmer, right? And also have the overhead. The overhead makes the sound come way farther away, and they really allow me to place it behind my orchestra where they should be. So I like to use the overhead for more realistic placement in a larger ensemble. But my favorite combination is definitely the tree and the spot. It's a good combination of ambience and definition and detail. Now let's load one that has actually all the other mic. So I'm gonna just load this, and then we're gonna go to the sequence. All right, so here I have my epic ensemble, right? And I'm gonna go to the mixer, and let's just try a few more mic positions. So let's check the outrigger. It's really far in the back. This is the deep tree. Definitely more spread in stereo, more realistic, I would say. This is the room vintage. Let me bring it up a little bit. And this is the room. The room has definitely more depth, more reverb, so you can combine it with the spot to get a really fine detail of the percussion, but also a very nice natural room. So you can really mix and match depending on your needs, and I love this. It really makes placing the library and the sounds in any space you want, and I think they did a really good job in capturing all the details of the room. Now let's take a look a little bit how they sound in a real situation. So here I have a small cue that I'm working on, and I'm just gonna solo for now the percussion, okay, just to give you an idea of the power and how they sound. So here we go. So here I have a combination of ensembles, processed sounds, and also single hits. For example, this is a large ensemble. It's an epic ensemble here. And here I have the sticks. Again, this is an ensemble. It's a rambling air sticks. Right. And here I have some high ensembles, hard beaters. So again, an ensemble patch, but with higher percussion. And I want to point out that I'm not using any additional reverb on this one. This is all natural reverberation from the different mics, and that makes it really realistic, right? Here I have also some sub-ensemble with a little bit of a roll. And then here I have some layers that I did with the Deep Impact 2. Right, so these are definitely the ones that were processed. Again, it's kind of a nice option to add for some sound effects. Here I have another percussion roaring thunder, again coming from the processed category. And here I have some actually single hits category. And again, it gives you a little bit more of a closer type of response, right? A bit more intimate response. So altogether, the percussion, as I said, sound like this. It's very easy to program. They're very playable, and I love it. Now, one more thing that I want to mention is that if you want to give a little bit more of a higher impact and a touch more bite to the percussion, you can do that. I like that actually this percussion and drums sound very natural, because then if you want, you can give a little bit more of a push in terms of mixing. And what I did here is to add a little bit of compression, right? And so I add a Fairchild compressor right here. So let's hear how it sounds with the Fairchild compression applied. So you definitely get, you know, punchier sound. But again, I really like that we can place and use these drums and percussions in any style. It can be something very acoustic and something more filmistic, and it's up to us. We have the power to choose in which direction to go. I also like to add a little bit of this plugin. It's called the Oven. It kind of like gives a little bit of coloration, a little bit of sizzle to the mix. And finally, I just use a little bit of a limiter here. Again, that colors the sound a little bit, but it allows me to keep the volume to where I want it. It's a very flexible library. I love it. Now, let's hear it now with, you know, in perspective, in a full perspective with all the other tracks, with the full orchestra, so you can see how easy they fit with different libraries. I'm using different strings here, some from Orchestral Tools, some from Native Instrument, and some from LA Strings, plus some brass and some voices. But just to give you an idea of how well they perform when they are mixed with other instruments. So I hope you enjoyed this run through. I really enjoy working with Monolith, and I hope you're gonna check it out. Bye. And of course, remember to subscribe to this channel if you like this type of videos. I have many tutorials available, and also you can read a full review on AudioFader.com magazine, where you can find some really good articles. And I wrote a review of this specific library. So I hope to see you soon. Bye.